Welcome to Mission Minded, the podcast where we explore outside-the-box thinking in carrying out Christ's Great Commission. On this week's episode, we are discussing increasing the safety of missionary pilots. Joining us in this conversation is Glen Ferguson, CEO of the International Association of Missionary Aviation, Dereck, the Engineering Projects Manager at Messiah University, and Geoff McClary, Student Projects Manager at the Messiah University Collaboratory. Our sponsor for today's podcast is Dignity Roasters Coffee, locally roasted and packaged by the distressed to fuel each day. Dignity Roasters was born through a passion to partner with the distressed and the desire of bringing the universally loved beverage of coffee to your hands. To order your own coffee or to learn more about Dignity Roasters, visit their website at dignityroasters.com. Now here's your host, Jim Tingler.
Hi, and welcome back to the Mission Minded Podcast. I'm Jim Tingler. I'm going to be your host today in a special format. We've actually got two people joining via Zoom and Glen Ferguson joining us here in the studio. So, hey guys, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
So what we'll do is we'll go around, allow you guys to introduce yourself. And to start out, Glen, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work that you're involved in?
Okay, I'm Glen Ferguson. Been a missionary in aviation for 35 years, originally with JARS as a pilot for them. Flew 10 years in the Amazon jungle, in and out of some of the remote jungle airstrips, just like we're working on this project. And in recent years, I've become the CEO of the International Association of Missionary Aviation. Big long title, but we just refer to it as IAMA.
Yeah.
Just use that. So from now on, we're just IAMA.
Right.
So glad to be here.
Good. Glad to have you. And Dereck, I'll allow you to just give a little update on who you are and the work you're involved in.
Yeah. So my name is Dereck Plante. I work at Messiah University. We used to be Messiah College, but now we're a university. I'm the engineering projects manager here. I've been here for about 5 years, and I'm an electrical engineer by training, but have a heart for missions and educating students. So I help oversee different engineering projects that we run, and I work with students such as Geoff here.
Great, thanks. And Geoff, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Geoff McClary. I'm a senior mechanical engineer at Messiah University, and I'm the student project manager for the Falcon UAV team at the Collaboratory, where Dereck is the faculty project manager for our team.
Great. Thanks for joining us, guys. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a project that was brought to ITEC and Messiah University helped us out on. And so that's something that we've been trying to really grow in, is working together with organizations and trying to find ways that we could work together rather than, us being the ones coming up with a solution. So Glen, would you share a little bit about the challenge that you brought to ITEC?
Okay, let me just start by saying the vision of IAMA is to see the mission organizations collaborating, working together, sharing information, expertise, and resources. It's a big project, and we need to have that cooperation and work together. Yeah. And over the years, I've seen a need. I also work with Mission Safety International. I've done safety audits in remote parts of the world. One of the issues we see is keeping airstrip charts updated. So as the pilot pulls out his airstrip chart as he's going into a remote jungle airstrip, he can read the elevation, the length, the width, any special issues. When was the last time you updated your chart? We'll ask the pilot, and he'll look and go, 5 years ago. In the Amazon or tropics, how fast do trees grow? 10 feet a year? I mean, it's no longer valid. And they realize that they're landing 100, 200, 300 feet farther down the runway. And why? Because they haven't cleared the approaches, because it gradually snuck up on them and they hadn't taken time to properly evaluate where they were at. So it's a safety issue. There's been numerous accidents of aircraft on runways. And so there's hazards, and so we want to eliminate as much as possible, or mitigate, however you want to use that term, to make things safer for the mission pilots. And as the drone technology, UAV, UAS, however you want to refer to it, has developed, we see great application for being able to use that and electronically, digitally do these surveys. And I can talk more about how the pilot will use this in a little bit.
Yeah. So Dereck has been one who has reached out to ITEC through many platforms over the years, has come down to visit ITEC, and has said, if there are projects that come up that our team could be involved in, please let us know. And this seemed like it would be a great fit.
Yes.
And so, Dereck, would you mind sharing a little bit about Messiah University and their vision to work and support projects like this, and maybe a little bit about what you guys did with the project?
Sure. I'll be glad to. So so the Collaboratory, it's kind of a funky name, something we came up with about 15 years ago. And so it's the joining of the word collaboration and laboratory. It's a center within the university. We work closely with the engineering department, and me as an engineering projects manager, I help bring in new projects. We do electrical, biomedical, mechanical, civil, environmental, and we in the laboratory sense, we're engineers. We love to work on problems and work with test equipment and build things and prototype. But the collaboration part of it is really key for us, is that we look for partners that are missions minded, faith-based minded, and we look for them to bring kind of the need or the engineering problem that they need to have solved to us. And often they also bring the relationship with the community, that could be anywhere in the world, the missionaries or the end user of whatever project it is. So we partner then with these like-minded faith-based organizations like ITEC, like IAMA, that bring us the engineering problem to solve. So I had met Troy Townsend and Jim Tingler a few years ago, and kept in contact with them, and actually made a trip down to ITEC to discuss what potential projects could they see us working together on. And they brought up this problem of the runways not being safe, and the airstrips or airport diagrams not being updated. And is it possible that drones, are we at a place with drones that they could be a useful tool in actually being able to map these runways and determine whether they're safe to land on and take off. And I'll let Jeff add in anything here.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. If you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit about how those actually can be a solution in some of the projects that y'all did in order to determine the accuracy and the ability of using UAVs to map out airstrips.
Yeah, sure thing. At first, we kind of broke our project into two separate parts. It was like research and development and then testing. So the first half was kind of picking the drone, looking at what's available at different price ranges, seeing what would be kind of the best fit for this project, because obviously you don't want to be spending tens of thousands of dollars on a drone and then find out it doesn't actually work for what you want. So the first half was kind of finding that middle ground. Once we found a drone and drone mapping software that we thought would work, then we began testing it. So we would lay out small objects in a big open field and then make maps of that, see if it could detect those small objects. And then we did bigger objects. We tested trees. There were a few cars kind of thrown in there as well, just for fun. So we tested a whole range of different objects and different terrain to see what exactly this system that we were coming up with could map and how accurately it could map.
Yeah, one of the cool parts of this is just hobby level UAV. This isn't, some super fancy drone that you go and buy, offline, have to have special training. I mean, this is using a DJI quadcopter that you can go to Best Buy or wherever else and get this.
Right.
But help us understand, okay, what is it, just adding a software? I mean, what do we do from there?
Yeah, so the very brief overview of the project is just a commercially bought drone and a commercially bought mapping software. And when you plan we call it a flight plan with the software, it tells the drone where to fly, and then you literally just go out to your mapping location and press start, and the drone does all the work for you. It takes off by itself, and it flies over whatever area you're trying to map in a grid pattern, so just back and forth, and it simply takes a whole bunch of pictures. And then those pictures combined with the different sensor data that are built into the drone then get uploaded back into that software, and then it generates the map for you. So it's a very easy process. All the hard work is done for you, and it's just a very easy way to get this high resolution image and even a 3D model of the area you're mapping. So it's a very user-friendly process that gets you a lot of very good data.
The process is known as photogrammetry, which has actually been around for like 100 years. Being able to take, camera shots at different angles, and then actually, do some trigonometry and be able to generate a 3D model. So with the advancements in drones, computing power, and cameras, this has enabled now, us to generate a high-resolution 3D model map of these areas.
So, Jeff, when you think about hobbyist level quadcopters, something you'd buy off the shelf, I mean, what kind of accuracy levels does this provide?
Yeah, so obviously, because it's a hobbyist level, it's not going to be perfect. But with that being said, it's still very accurate as to what we've deemed to be important, which is determining trees. So we found that the larger the object, the more accurate it is. So with trees, we got results that were about 10% in either direction. So it's not a big difference. So there's very little error. And then as you kind of get down to smaller objects, obviously it's a little bit harder to tell because grass can interfere with objects and there's more error there. But we found that no matter the size of the object, you're always able to see it on your map. The specific height of maybe a cardboard box or some small object that we've tossed in a field, that height might not be quite as accurate for those smaller objects, but you can definitely see it's there. We've never not been able to find something.
When you say plus or minus, let's just say, I know you guys tested a backpack in the field, right? That was one of the things that you did. I mean, we're not talking plus or minus a foot. We're talking plus or minus inches.
Yeah, so for small objects like that, it would say it was like 2 foot object. It might say it was like a foot or a foot and a half. So it wasn't saying that nothing's there or it's like a 6 foot, pillar or something. So it's still relatively close, but the smaller the object, that little bit of error has a bit of a bigger impact.
Yeah, Jeff, some of the data you showed me showed undulations and surface imperfections on the runway surface itself, and that is quite valuable data.
Yeah. So for the land itself, it's a much wider area, so it's easier to see those little imperfections. It's like the camera picking up a small object, say like a backpack, in multiple pictures is less accurate because it's a smaller object, but like a big open field or say a runway is a much larger object, so it can pick up those ground changes in elevation much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And Glenn, do you feel like this would be a beneficial tool to be used in mission aviation?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I've been watching this project, wanting to do this for a number of years, and I feel like the technology is finally here to make it simple so that we can do it. But if we make it easier for those pilots and those flight programs to do this, they're much more likely to do it. I envision the pilot going out there, and releasing this little drone and getting it to do its thing.
Right.
And then he takes it back and gets all the data plugged back into the computer. But the benefit to him then will be most of our pilots now are using what we call electronic flight bag. They're using their iPad.
Okay.
Or back in my day, we used paper charts.
Right.
Now it's all going to be right there. It's easily shareable with all the other pilots. And as you're en route, you pull it up, and there's the information, and it's current. Hopefully it'll have a flasher that goes, you're 6 months out of date, and he will resurvey so that we keep this data current. That's the key, is keeping current data. And that's what we're pushing for.
I mean, this tool was out there. You could have found it. What Messiah and the team there did was they tested everything that was out on the market. They went through, okay, what are the actual capabilities, and could this work for what Glen is seeing the use for? And so that time and investment was huge, because as technology comes out, it can be overwhelming. There are a lot of different directions. Glen could have gone, but to have something that has gone through the testing that Messiah has done is extremely beneficial and helpful.
Yeah, and I'll just say that our expertise in that area is very, very low. We're focused on other things. We come to you guys that do this, you're the experts on it, and we can partner and work together on it.
That's exactly what we like to hear, Glen. I mean, we as the collaboratory, we're looking to kind of come alongside you and define that problem, something that you maybe don't have the time to tackle or work on, and to offload that from you guys, and to partner with you and to solve that problem. On the drone side, it's been really a joy to work with. We have 4 students on the project. In the fall, we did a lot of testing, a lot of flying to figure out, what size objects can it detect. How we found that it can detect trees and it can actually tell you the height of those trees within 10% plus or minus 10% accuracy. And we really, from a feasibility standpoint, we kind of set out to conduct a feasibility study. Is this feasible technology to actually do what IAMA and Glen would like to see? And I think we've shown that it really is a capable system. It's not perfect, but it's a capable system that's easy to use. We think that what did the time that it would take to actually go out and fly a mission with a drone, you're talking about up close to an hour of total time to be on the ground. So now a pilot with a kind of another person could fly around to different airports and actually conduct these flights and then do the post-processing coming back to the missions base or wherever, and actually be able to now provide updated airport diagrams, airstrip, and I think it's tremendous. I really do think that it might be where the technology is at, and it's ready to actually solve this problem and make pilots and operations safer.
It's really just another tool in the toolbox to be able to help the people involved in mission aviation and just really mission transportation as a whole. I'm curious, Jeff, what did this do as far as your student experience to work just with a team that is trying to solve real-world application for the mission field?
Yeah, I think this really added to my school experience a lot. The collaboratory is actually the reason I chose to come to Messiah University, because all the schools I looked at didn't really have something like that. Most schools have some sort of senior project where you do something, but it's just like for the school. Whereas the collaboratory is we're working and solving real world problems that actually help people while still getting that education and perfecting our skills. So it's the best of both worlds, really. And the fact that I got to work on a project that directly helps with the missions field is also really cool, as I grew up as a missionary kid overseas. So it's kind of like I'm coming full circle and I'm kind of going back into that life where I've been in the US for time now that I've been overseas. So like I'm kind of one of the more typical American normal kids out of the family because I've been here longer. So it's kind of cool to get a bigger picture of what like my older siblings and my parents experienced.
That's great.
Really cool for me.
That's great. And we appreciate the time you guys have invested in just trying to help, again, solve some of these challenges that are out there. So, well, I think...
Let me just make one more comment here about what we're doing. We're using technology. And if you've heard me in years past, you will hear me say, our work is not about airplanes. It's not about aviation.
Right.
It's not about the technology. It's not about UAVs.
Right.
But they are the tools we have to promote sharing the gospel effectively, getting our missionaries out there more safely so that they're more effective in sharing the gospel. That's what it's all about. It's not about the technology. It's about Jesus Christ and making him known.
Yeah, it's not about the tool.
Amen, Glenn.
Yeah.
I was going to add there that, I read biographies on Nate Saint, and Jim Elliott. And I remember reading about Nate Saint and how, in the 40s when he started flying in Ecuador, he was able to transport people, missionaries or other people, in a 30-minute flight, he could bring those people, to a destination where that would have taken a 2 or 3 day trip in the jungle. And that's what aviation, as you said, a tool, but it's really been a huge, blessing to Christianity and evangelists and missionaries to be able to go to these destinations that were, otherwise hard to reach and difficult to get to, and to think that it's only been 100 years that planes have really been around for, and it's great.
Absolutely. And as this technology progresses, we're going to need, the collaboratory, people like yourself, and those that can come along and say, all right, how can we use this tool? Is this a worthwhile tool to put in our toolbox? And so that's where you guys really have come along and support the work that IAMA, Mission Safety International, again, trying to be concerned. We want the tools to be effective, but we also need them to be safe. And so there's that balance. And so we really appreciate the hard work you guys have put in.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, well, great.
Well, it's been great to partner with you guys. And, we wouldn't have exist. We wouldn't be able to do what we do if we couldn't partner with like-minded organizations. And so it's been great. ITEC and Glen have supported our project, and we've had many meetings and different, times where we've reviewed what we're working on, and it's just been a great collaboration to work together and to kind of, just see how God can use our gifts in different ways. Us as engineers, and Glenn is a pilot, Jim is a great communicator, and try to use God uses all of us to solve these problems and ultimately, make his name and the name of Jesus known throughout the earth.
Amen. And Dereck, would you say that you guys are looking for more projects now? You guys are anybody that might be listening and, have this idea, hey, it would be great if we had a group of students at that university that could process through this challenge for us. Or you guys are open for that?
Yeah. Thanks for the plug, Jim. I'm as part of my role is to look for new projects, and we love to partner with, and we do mechanical projects. We're designing a wheelchair for a hospital in Nepal. We've designed foot bridges. We don't do car bridges, but we do foot bridges. So, and we have done those in Nicaragua, Panama, Mexico. We've done water projects. We've worked on customer unique water problems throughout the world. How do we filter that water and provide clean water? Feel free to reach out to me if you know of a specific problem and think we could partner together.
How would somebody get a hold of you, Dereck?
They could email me at dplante@messiah.edu. So DPLANTE@messiah.edu.
Okay. The E is important. The E is silent.
That's right. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. And again, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little bit about the work that you guys have done. And Jeff, best of luck. You're a senior, right?
Correct. Yep. So I'm finishing up my last semester here.
Okay. You have the work lined up. Do we need to throw a plug for a job for Jeff?
Well, I have a few irons in the fire, but nothing. Okay. So, I'm always open,
Okay. How would somebody get a hold of Jeff?
Well, my email is not quite as exciting as Dereck's, but it's gm1234@messiah.edu. So mine's easier to remember.
Nice.
Right.
Okay. Good stuff. And Glen, I know IAMA is something that if you're involved in mission aviation, most would know about it. But for those who maybe just are interested in that world, would IAMA be something that they could join and start to network with people in the mission aviation world?
Absolutely. Go on the website, iamanet.org. IAMANET, iamanet.org.
Great.
And you can find more information, contact info, list of all the organizations that are currently IAMA members, and a little information about each one. Feel free to contact me at any time. Happy to talk with you.
Good stuff. Well, thank you guys for joining us today on this podcast, and appreciate all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you, Glenn.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Mission Minded Podcast.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Mission Minded. For more information on today's topic and show notes, please visit our website, itechusa.org. Mission Minded Podcast is produced by ITEC. The goal of this podcast is to inspire conversations about Great Commission participation. The views, organizations, and individuals represented, interviewed, and discussed on the podcast do not necessarily represent an official position or formal partnerships with ITEC.